Ooh.
Ladies and gentlemen, good Yantif, Chag Sameach, Lashana Tova Tikatevu. May we indeed be inscribed for a good year, a year in which we do good, a year filled with blessing. I don't know if you were noticing the hubbub of connection and conversation. It was an exquisite reminder of what has been gone for a while and what we are rebuilding together. And that rebuilding, I would strongly believe, leads to the possibility of a community coming together in thanksgiving and prayerful reflection. As I turn to the cantor, who turns to all of us with uplifted hearts.
Thank you, Rabbi. Shana Tova. This next piece of music is something we customarily do each Shabbat. It is adapted by Thomason and Shrugs, but we don't know the origins necessarily. It's a song called Lord, Prepare Me. Last night, the rabbi spoke eloquently about a little girl who noted that if God is large and we are small, wouldn't God show through? The answer is yes. This is our sanctuary. We don't even notice our heart beating, or the breath that comes into our lungs, or that finely balanced network of organs and veins and arteries. That is where our song comes from. And so we're going to sing Moda Ani to this beautiful piece of music, easy to follow along, and I hope you'll sing with us. Da, 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 la, da, 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 la, da, da, la, da, la, da, da. Nishmati bechera emunateha to be a sanctuary, pure and holy, tried and true, with thanksgiving, I'll be a living sanctuary for you.
With that melody around us and in us, we turn in the prayer book to page 110. Page 110, Matovu.
ואני הרוב חסדך עבודתך אשתחווה אל קודשך ביראתך
משכנותיך ישראל.
מה טוב אוהליך יעקב,
אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל.
אדוני, אהבתי מאוד ביתך ומקום משכן כבודך. ואני אשתחווה ואכרע אליך לפני אדוני עושי.
מה טוב אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב,
ישראל.
אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל.
ואני תפילתי לך, אדוני את רצון. אלוהים ברוב חסדך, הנני באמת אישך. מה טוב
אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. מה טוב אוהליך יעקב, אוהליך יעקב, משכנותיך ישראל. On page 124 is a section of worship that's called Nisim Bechol Yom, normally translated miracles that are with us all the time, miracles of the everyday. It may surprise some, there is no word in biblical Hebrew for miracle as in the notion of a supernatural intervention into the everyday of routine and experience. There is the word nes, nisim plural. It means literally sign or symbol. There is the word ot. It means literally letter or symbol. And there is the word pele, which means a wow. What isn't a wow if we would but see? And the series of brachot is intended to open our eyes so that we might truly see. Page 124.
If the Hebrew is an impediment, a simple amen after, as if you said the blessing yourself. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan l'sechvi binah, להבחין בין יום ובין לילה. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, פוקח עברים. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, rokah haaretz hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, sha'asani li kol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamechin mitzadei kaver. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, malbish arumim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hanoten li'ayev koach. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hama'avir shina me'enai, utnuma me'afapai. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, sha'asani b'tselem Elohim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, sha'asani b'chorim. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, sha'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, ozer Yisrael bikuram. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, oter Yisrael b'tifaram.
On page 129, blessed are the works of your hands, O Holy One. Blessed are hands that have touched life. Blessed are hands that have nurtured a child. Blessed are hands that have embraced with love and friendship. Blessed are hands that have planted new seeds. Blessed are hands that have harvested ripe fields. Blessed are hands that have cleaned, washed, mopped, and scrubbed. Blessed are hands that have felt pain. Blessed are hands that have become knotty with age. Blessed are hands that are wrinkled and scarred from doing justice. Blessed are hands that hold the promise of the future. Blessed are the work of your hands, O Holy One. We continue with the Baruch Hu, the call to worship, on page 142. Page 142, I invite you to rise. Please be seated. On the top of page 145, a marvelous presentation from the pen of Mary Oliver. If you're not acquainted with her, I urge you to make that acquaintanceship soon. Hello, sun in my face. Hello, you who make the morning and spread it over the fields and into the faces of the tulips and the nodding morning glories and into the windows of even the miserable and the crotchety. Best preacher that ever was, dear star that just happens to be where you are in the universe, to keep us from ever darkness, to ease us with warm touching, to hold us in the great hands of light. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Watch now how I start the day in happiness, in kindness. On the bottom of page 147, all life springs from a single fountainhead. Listen, Israel, know the oneness at the heart of multiplicity. With love and reverence, bear witness to Mekor HaChaim. The Shema may be found on page 149 and 50. Please rise. 150 and 51.
את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך
ושיננתם
לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך ובביתך ובמלאכתך ובדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בעיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו
ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי
והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
The bottom of page 157, Love God with your mind. Stay curious, open to questions. Marvel at the wonder of what is. Love God with your heart. Stay alive to suffering and joy. Yearn for the world that could be. Love God with your strength. Open your hands and give work for the sake of what ought to be. On the bottom of page 163, remember the stories of slavery, and you will never stop working for freedom. Remember their fear at the edge of the sea, and self-doubt will never defeat you. Remember when desperation turned to celebration, and you will never let go of hope. Remember the words of the Baal Shem Tov, forgetfulness leads to exile. Remembrance is the secret of redemption. Page 164.
שיר חדש שבחוגיו לי לשמך על שפת הים יחד כולם הודו והמליאו ואמרו ישראל גולנו אדוני צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Page 166, we rise for the Amidah.
Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehillatech. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotinu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Velohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Leah Velohei Rachel Ha'el Hagadol V'Hagibor V'Hanora Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Chasdei Avot V'Imahot ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. Baruch Adonai Magin Avraham ve'Ezra Tzara אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע מוריד הקל מחכה חיים בחסד מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים סומך נופלים ורופא עולים ומתיר אסורים ובקיים אמונתו לשני עפר מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך מלך ממית ומחיי ומצמיח ישוע ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
Please be seated. Were Rabbi Shalom, alav shalom, here, he would register an objection to what's coming next. He never liked the Unatana Tokef prayer. My suspicion, because he thought too many people might take it quite too literally, that God is keeping a record and deciding, well, you did, all right, I'll put your name down. You didn't do so well, I'm erasing your name. The metaphor of being inscribed in the book of life can also be translated as in the book of the living. All of us are in the book of life right now, and all of us hope to be inscribed in the book of the living. Whenever our story is done, may it be a strong and vital work of nonfiction. Some of us write a brief sonnet, God willing, with great beauty. Some of us write epic poems, God willing, of great beauty. all of us are here for but a moment, and what we write in that book, the book of the living and the book of our lives, may it give testimony to the grandness and greatness in us and all that is around us. On page 177, just as the shadow of a person does whatever that person does, so too does the divine do what we do. Divinity is the shadow of human action. If we save a human life, so too does God. If we decide to end a human life, God does also. At some level, the utterly transcendent divinity is right at hand, for the divinity we hope to worship is a shadow of ourselves, our best parts and our worst. If you want to see God save the innocent, you need to get off the couch and save the innocent. If you want to see God feed the hungry, you need to feed the hungry. If you want to see God stand by while the innocent suffer, all you need to do is stand by and do nothing yourself. Page 178.
Rosh
Hashanah, Ikateru, Yom Som Kippur, Yom Som Kippur, Yechateru, Rosh Hashanah, Ikateru, Yom Som Kippur, Yom Som Kippur, Yechateru.
the Rosh Hashanah ikatevu Avayom Som Kippur ikatevu Kama Yebareu Mi shakit, mi Torah. Mishalel umidasir Miani umiashir Yishupal umiarum.
On page 184, we find the Kedusha, and we find the opportunity for those who are able to please rise.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כי שם שקדשים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, ויקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך הארץ. אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני, במקומו, בחדות אלוהינו, הוא אבינו ומלכנו, ומשיענו והוא ישמיענו, רחמיו לעיני כל חי. ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, נצחים קדושך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו מפנו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. מלך גדול,
You may be seated. In the bottom of page 195, this people, our people's true history, is a history of encounters with God. It has this history for its own sake and for the sake of humanity. It bears it and is born by it. Every people is a question which God addresses to humanity, and every people from its own place with its special talents and possibilities must answer for its own sake and for the sake of humanity. On the next page, our God and God of the generations before us, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor and reaching your awareness, together with the memory of our ancestors, the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel. May we be remembered for safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life, and for peace on this day of remembrance. Zachrenu Adonai Eloheinu vo l'tova, uvhadkenu vo livracha, v'hoshienu vo l'chaim. Eternal our God, remember us, be mindful of us, and redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing. Amen. Well, I don't know about anyone else, but I planned to come today so I could hear the song sung so perfectly on page 209.
Ritzeh Adonai Eloheinu Be'amecha Yisrael U'tefiletam be'ahavat tikabeh U'tehillah ratzon Tamid avodat Israel Israel Amecha El Harav Licham Harav El Avadecha V'Ganeinu Shefach Rucha V'techezena Eneinu V'shuvecha leTzion Barachamim Baruch Adonai Hamazi Shechinato Letzion
I told you. All right. Just a moment. I need to be able to see the cue sheet.
I feel like we can go home now.
And skip the sermon? Why are you laughing? Hold on. On page 213. Giver of life and all good gifts, grant us also wisdom to use only what we need, courage to trust your bounty, imagination to preserve our resources, determination to deny frivolous excess, and inspiration to sustain through temptation. The priestly blessing, this wondrous tale, the oldest Hebrew inscription we have found thus far, on page 214. May you know God's blessing of shelter and care. May you receive the light of God's kindness and grace. May you see God's favor and goodness, and may you partake of God's peace. May it be so. Amen. Page 216, Sim Shalom.
Sing Shalom, sing Shalom, sing Baruchenu Avinu, kulanu kedachel b'or pnecha, ki b'mor pnecha natan lanu Adonai Eloheinu. Torah Chaim v'Chavat Chesed u'tzrakim u'rachim v'rahamim v'chayim v'shalom. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה, בכל עת ובכל שעה
We spend a few moments in private reflection, meditation. You may wish to use the words on page 216 through 220, or you may wish, of course, to turn inward to the reflections of your heart. But let's spend a few moments in private reflection. On page 223, I invite you to rise. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu,
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, hear our voice.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu Lefanecha,
Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chamol Aleinu Va'al Olaleinu V'Tapenu,
Avinu Malkeinu, have compassion on us and our families.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Dever V'Cherev V'Ra'av Me'aleinu,
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Kol Tsar Umastin Me'aleinu,
Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror.
Avinu Malkeinu, Kodvenu B'Sefer Chayim Tovim,
Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova,
Avinu Malkeinu, renew us for a year of goodness.
Avinu Malkeinu, Chanenu V'Anenu, Ki Ein Banu Ma'asim, Aseh Imanu Tzedakah V'Chesed, V'Hoshi Enu.
Avinu Malkeinu, almighty and merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Vanenu, Ki ein banu ma'asim. Asei manu, tzedakah v'chesed. Asei manu, tzedakah v'chesed, v'hoshi enu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu Vanenu, Ki ein banu ma'asim.
We could probably use a Daniel Schneiderman just about right now. Aha. Because Danny forgot to bring his trombone, we lent him a shofar. The service for shofar begins on page 202. I invite you to rise.
לשבח לאדון שלא עשנו כגוי הארצות ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה וגורלנו ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים
On page 206, the blessings for the sounding of the shofar.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lishma kol shofar Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. תקיעה, שברים תשועה. תקיעה, תקיעה. Shivarim Tikia Tikia Teruah Tikia Arashat Sifatenu Yerav Levnecha Eram Vanisa Arashat Sifatenu Yerav Levnecha Eram Vanisa Mevinu Mazin Mahabit Umachshiv Lakol Tekiya Tekiya Tenu Mevinu Mazin Mahabit Umachshiv ותקבל ברחמים וברצון סדר אוי סדר מלכויותינו ותקבל ברחמים וברצון סדר אוי סדר מלכויותינו.
On page 267, but please don't get too excited. We're not that far into the service. God of remembrance, remember the covenant of our ancestors We reaffirm it today. Remember, we are a people of noble ideals. Help us to attain them. Remember all your people, all the nations on the road to peace. Bless their efforts. Remember with mercy the binding of Isaac, the sorrow of Sarah, Abraham's words, "Here I am." Our memory fades, but you remember all that we have forgotten. Your presence is a throne where all things matter and nothing is lost. Baruch atah Adonai, zocher habrit.
Amen.
Blessed are you, Adonai. You remember the covenant. You remember us.
Tekiah, Shavarim Trua. Tekiah, Tekiah, Shavarim. Tekiah, Tekiah, Trua. Tekiah, Arashat Sifatenu, Yirav Levanecha, El Rambanisa. Mevinu mazin, Bahabit umachshiv, Lako, Tekiah Penu.
Mevinu mazin, Bahabit umachshiv, Lako,
Show-offs. Utkabel berachamim uveratzon, seder oy seder, zichronatenu.
Utkabel berachamim uveratzon, seder zichronatenu.
279. Misery for breakfast. Morning coffee with the news of distant deaths because someone's always suffering and there's bound to be a crisis raging somewhere or a quieter catastrophe barely at the threshold of our notice. We're accustomed to the feeling of something going wrong, like static in the background, tuned out so we can get on with our day. And it's just the same as yesterday and nothing can be done, so there's not much point in getting too upset. But if something were to shock us like a baby's piercing wail or a fire bell in the night, like a punch in the stomach or a puncture in the eardrum, like a savage call to conscience or a frantic call for help, would we scream like a shofar and get mad enough to act? When a ram's horn is sounded in a city, do the people not take alarm? On page 281, summoned to battle injustice, we heard the rebuke of our prophets. Cry aloud, spare not, lift up your voice like a shofar. The blessing on the top of page 284 together. Baruch atah Adonai, shomea kol truat amo Yisrael berachamim. Blessed are you in our lives, Adonai. You hear with love the shofar, true voice of your people Israel.
Tekiah, Shavarim Trua. Tekiah, Tekiah, Shavarim, Tekiah, Tekiah, Trua. Tekiah Gedolah, Isa.
Aresh Sefatenu Yirad Revaneka El Rambenisa.
Mevin umazin ma bit umachshiv lekol Thank you. I play here every Rosh Hashanah. Tekiyateinu.
Umazin Ba'avik Umashim Lekol
Oh, come on. Utkabel berachamim uveratzon seder oy seder shofaroteinu.
Nobody ever applauds when I speak.
Oh.
On page 227, we rise for the service for reading Torah.
And kamahava Elohim Adonai. Malchutcha malchut ka'olamim umemshaltecha bechodor v'hador. Adonai oz la'amoyeten, Adonai varach at amav v'shalom.
על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים, על שלושה דברים העולם עומד, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל גמילות חסדים, ונאמר לפניו שירה חדשה, ונאמר לפניו שירה חדשה, ונאמר לפניו שירה חדשה, ונאמר לפניו שירה חדשה. הללויה, 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 הללויה. אלך חמדה ליבי ושנא ואל נא תתעלם, אלך חמדה ליבי ושנא ואל נא תתעלם, אלך חמדה ליבי ושנא ואל נא תתעלם. Glory, אלך חמדה ליבי ושנא ואל נא תתעלם, אלך חמדה ליבי ושנא ואל נא תתעלם, לה לה, אלך חמדה ליבי ושנא ואל נא תתעלם, ושנא ואל נא תתעלם, ושנא ואל נא תתעלם, אלך חמדה ליבי ושנא ואל נא תתעלם.
I don't know how I grabbed the heavier one, but I did. So, I was like, where did he go? Come over here, my love. This man standing next to me, I think the rabbi will tell you that I am not lying. I remember when he could fit in my pocket. Not only, I'm going to kvel for 1 minute, and I'm not even his mother, but this man I am so proud of who he is. I wish I could say I had a hand in it. I got nothing to do with it. But he is a leader in this congregation and a magnificent individual. Oh, come on, don't even miss me. Okay. Do you see where you are, baby? Right there? Okay, perfect. All right, to our blessers. Oh, his name is Rob Moss. I will give you a page in just 1 minute, Rabbi. Don't move. If you would like to follow along, you can do so. No, okay, the blessings are on page 230. But the Torah portion, keep going. The Torah portion, no. Not that one? Not that one. Who's got the page? Anybody? Oh, there we go, 240. Sorry about that. Okay. So let's close this up while we do the blessing. Okay, sweetheart, go ahead.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach.
Baruch Adonai HaBarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Boed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam. Baruch Asher Bekanu B'Kol Mahamim V'Natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notein HaTorah. Where's my place?
By the way, this is high holiday trope.
Not mine.
Amen. Vayhi achar hadvarim ha'eleh v'ha'elohim nisa et Avraham. Vayomer elav Avraham, vayomer hineni. Vayomer kachna et bincha et ichidcha asher ahavta et Yitzchak v'lech lecha el eretz hamoria v'ha'alehu sham le'olah al achad heharim asher omar elecha. Vayashkem Avraham baboker vayachavosh et chamoro vayikach et shnei ne'arav ito ve'et Yitzchak beno vayvaka atzei olah vayakom vayelech el hamakom asher amar lo ha'elohim. Bayom hashlishi vayisa Avraham et einav vayar et hamakom merachok. Vayomer Avraham el ne'arav shvu lachem po im hachamor va'ani v'hana'ar ne'elcha ad ko. V'nishtachavet v'nashuva alehem. Vayikach Avraham et atzei ha'olah. Vayasem al Yitzchak beno. Vayikach biyado et ha'esh ve'et hama'achelet. Vayelchu shnehem yachdav. Vayomer Yitzchak el Avraham aviv, Vayomer avi, Vayomer hineni v'ni, Vayomer hine ha'esh v'ha'etzim v'aye haseh le'olah. Vayomer Avraham Elohim yirelo haseh le'olah b'ni. Vayelchu shnehem yachdav, vayavo'u el hamakom, asher amar lo ha'elohim. Vayiven sham Avraham et hamizbeach, vaya'aroch et ha'etzim, vaya'akod et Yitzchak beno, vayatzem oto al hamizbeach, Mima'al la'etzim. Vayishlach Avraham et yado, vayikach et hama'achelet, lishchot et beno. Vayikra elav malach Adonai min hashamayim, vayomer Avraham, Avraham, vayomer hineni. Vayomer al tishlach yadcha el hana'ar va'al ta'aslo me'uma ki ata yadati ki yireh Elohim ata v'lo chasachta et bincha et ichidecha mimeni. Vayisa Avraham et einav Vayar vehine ayil achar ne'echaz basvak bekarnav. Vayelech Avraham vayikach et ha'ayil Vaya'alehu le'ola tachat beno. Vayikra Avraham Shem Hamakom Hahu Adonai Yireh Asher Ye'amer Hayom Behar Adonai Yera'eh Vayikra Malach Adonai El Avraham Shenit Min Hashamayim Vayomer binishbatid neum Adonai ki ya'an asher asita et hadavar hazeh v'lo chasachta et bincha et yechidecha kivarech avarechecha v'harba arbe et zaracha kechochvei hashamayim V'chachol asher al sfat hayam vayirash zaracha et sha'ar oivav v'hitbarechu v'zaracha kol goyei haaretz ekev asher shamata b'koli vayahashov Avraham el ne'arav vayakumu Vayelchu yachdav el Beershava, Vayeshev Avraham Beershava.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen.
Other than being much too tall, Robbie is wonderful. But we also turn to moments where wonder may be more difficult to embrace, those who are in need of a healing of body, a healing of spirit. I believe you were able to have a list of some who we've been asked to pray for in our hearts for a healing, for the Misha Berach prayer, even as I ask you to name in your hearts those who may be of special concern for a healing of body, a healing of spirit. The prayer is on page 245, page 245.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the blessing to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu lekor habraha raotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Haftarah, beginning with the blessings on page 247. Page 247.
Listen before first.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'nbiim tovim, v'ratza v'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai abocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uV'Yisrael amo uvinvi'eh ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen. Page 250.
And there was a man from Ramatayim Tzufim, from the hills of Ephraim, whose name was Elkanah, which means God creates, son of Yeroham, son of Elihu, son of Tohu, son of Tzuf, an Ephraimite. And he had two wives, one named Hannah, which means grace, and the other named Peninnah, which means pearl. Peninnah had children, and Hannah had no children. And this man would go up from his town every year to worship at Shiloh and make offerings to the Eternal of heaven's hosts. And there Eli's two sons, Hophni and Pinchas, were priests of the Eternal. And on the day when Elkanah would make offerings, he would give portions to his wife Peninnah and to each of her sons and daughters. And to Hannah, he would give a special portion, because he loved Hannah, and the Eternal had closed her womb. And her rival wife would taunt her cruelly and make her tremble with grief, for the Eternal had closed her womb. She taunted her, she would cry, she would not eat. And Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you cry? And why do you not eat? And why are you disheartened? Am I not worth more to you than 10 sons? And Hannah arose after the eating and drinking at Shiloh, where Eli the priest sat upon the throne, near the doorpost of the temple of the Eternal. And she, bitter to the core, prayed to the Eternal, weeping and crying. And she vowed and said, Eternal of heaven's hosts, if you will truly see your servant's affliction and remember me, and not forget your servant, and give your servant a son, I will give him to the Eternal all the days of his life, and no razor shall be lifted to his head. And as her praying before the Eternal intensified, Eli watched her mouth. And Hannah, she was speaking only in her heart. Though her lips were moving, her voice could not be heard. So Eli thought she was drunk. And Eli said to her, How long will you persist in drunkenness? Put away your wine, get rid of it. And Hannah answered and said, No, my lord, a woman of sorrow am I. I drank neither wine nor spirits, but poured out my soul before the Eternal. Do not take your servant for a worthless woman. All this time I have spoken from the depth of my anger and from the greatness of my grievance. Then Eli answered and said, Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant the request you have made. She said, May your servant find grace in your sight. And the woman went on her way, and she ate, and her face was no longer as it has been. And they woke in the morning and worshiped before the Eternal, and they went home, returning to Ramah. And Elkanah knew Hannah, his wife, and the Eternal remembered her. And so it was that at the turn of the year, Hannah conceived and then gave birth to a son. And she called her Samuel, because I requested him from the Eternal.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol ha'olamim, tzadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el haneman, homer v'oseh, hamdaber u'mkayem, shekol devarim emet v'tzedek, al haTorah v'al havodah, v'al hanviim, v'al yom hazikaron hazeh, shenata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, lakavod ultifaret, al hakol Adonai Eloheinu, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד, בדברך אמת וקיים לעד, ברוך אתה אדוני, מלך על כל הארץ, מקדש ישראל, ביום הזיכרון.
Thank you all. Indeed, thank you all. On page 277, as we return the Torah to the Ark, page 277. Please rise. I know I'm not speaking only for myself when I suggest our appreciation for all of the participants in our service and the honors that they've honored us with this morning and yesterday evening. In fact, yesterday evening, I offered a few stories, along with the assertion that they weren't just some tales out there, but also and especially in here, in us, for most, if not all. And that recalls a long ago experience before I became a rabbi, when I spent a brief time as a teacher of English and writing. In that capacity, I learned and taught the scholarly conceit that there are only 7, or perhaps some say 6, basic plots. Everything else is elaboration. It falls into the category of detail. But you may also know the great Russian writer Leo Tolstoy. And by the way, aside, I was concerned that some might not have heard of Leo Tolstoy, which is why I said the great Russian writer, Leo Tolstoy. He had a provocative emendation. To wit, there are really only 2 stories. The first story begins, a stranger came to town. The second story begins, I went on a long journey. It's a remarkable insight as his construct embraces just about any and every story imaginable, from the Odyssey and Moby Dick to Easy Rider and Thelma and Louise and everything in between. In fact, the entire biblical endeavor, the history of our people, may be summarized with just a modest emendation. Not I, but we are on a long journey, and we are the strangers who come to town. As to those travels, it started with Abraham and Sarah, found its voice, a mission, our destiny, in the Exodus drama as that shaped our people and without doubt changed the world. For we are the vessel through which freedom enters the human endeavor. And that experience marks us as a remarkable community, the first in history with a mission. To clarify, the first people with a mission that did not insist that we are superior to others or have a limitless license to conquer, despoil, or eliminate any others. Rather, we understand and embrace that mission to be a light to the world, a holy nation. Notice the indefinite article, incredible and incredibly important. A light, a holy nation, not the, as in exclusive or only. We have no monopoly. Others can and should join in that work. But to be part of the adventure of the Jewish people is to embrace the job description, which means not that we are better than others, rather that we are called to be better than we are. But it is to the other aspect of Tolstoy's insight that I would direct our attention, for we are so often viewed as the strangers who come to town. Consider how we view or treat the stranger. For most, the concern runs to categories like suspicion and fear. Some suggest that point of view is why the Torah instructs us over and over again, you know the heart of the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. After all, were that a natural or normative response, there would be no need to restate, to remind, as tradition tells us 36 times, a significant and provocative number in Judaism, 2 times 18, or double high. More commonly, it is dangerous to be the stranger who comes to town. To use a less than high culture image, recall the old Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns? As the man with no name, Eastwood, rides into town, the good folk are put on edge by this mysterious stranger seemingly appearing out of nowhere. But there's always the female lead who will fall in love with the exotic newcomer. Alas, it will prove futile, as by the end of the film, he loves his horse, and he'll ride on to the next town and the next adventure. And the Jewish experience fits all too precisely in that formula, or as someone has offered, some praise me for being a Jew, some condemn me for being a Jew, but all think about it. Well, in reflecting on that thinking, it seemed inescapable that one of these presentations needs to focus on a rapidly replicating virus, an ancient ailment we call anti-Semitism, be it from the political left or the right. It is loose in the land, in our world, for so it has been always, especially at times of economic and social upheaval, at times like these. So this morning, I propose to examine with you 2 issues. First, an exploration of some of the substance that provides the environment for this always present virus to infect, replicate, and grow. After all, there have been and always will be those who hate us. After all, we are different, and some need to blame others for their disappointments, their failures, frustrations, and pain. It's never their fault. It must be some other, and we are a reliably convenient target at all times. How much the more so at times of social and economic dislocation. Evidence be damned. I know what I know, and it must be the Jews. Listen closely. In the sight of fanatics, Jews can do nothing right. If they are rich, they are birds of prey. If they are poor, they are vermin. If they favor war, that is because they want to exploit the bloody feuds of nations for profit. If they are anxious for peace, they are either instinctive cowards or traitors. If they give generously, and there are no more liberal givers than Jews, they are doing it for selfish purpose. If they don't give, then what would you expect of a Jew? If labor is oppressed by capital, the greed of the Jew is responsible. If labor revolts against capital, as it did in Russia, then the Jew is blamed for that also. If he lives in a strange land, he must be persecuted and pogromed out of it. If he wants to go back to his own, he must be prevented. A perfect composition when then British Prime Minister David Lloyd George presented it more than 100 years ago. Its currency attests to the remarkable tenacity of this disease to resist any and all immunization. In brief, there will always be those who hate us, and that hatred is independent of anything we do or don't do. Rather, it is a function of who we are and what our presence in the world meant and continues to mean. And with that in mind, I want to share what I consider the most cogent and forthright analysis of why we are targeted. I first encountered this argument from Dr. Roy Eckert of blessed memory, a Lutheran minister and a professor of religious studies at Lehigh University. After the Holocaust and World War II, he was among the first to insist that Christians have no business trying to convert Jews, but he went much further. He recalls growing up with the certainty that Christianity is superior to Judaism. After all, from the perspective of Christianity, you're born a pagan. You become a Christian. From his understanding of Judaism, just born a Jew. It's an accident of birth, and clearly a matter of conviction is superior to an accident of birth. But then Hitler comes along and teaches him, he says, a critical lesson. What was it about Israel of the flesh, that's his name for our people, that had Hitler won the war, clearly there would be no Jews alive today? How did he know we were his mortal enemy? Not just a convenient scapegoat, his mortal enemy. And he answers this question. Moses lives in us. The story of freedom breathes through us. But then he goes further. If that is true, would that not also be true of Israel of the Spirit, his name for Christians? And he honestly indicates many Christians died for the courage of their convictions in the concentration camps. And he goes further and he says, but you can always stop being Israel of the Spirit. You can't stop being Israel of the flesh. And no doubt that is why every dictatorship without exception and every enemy of freedom without exception has known we must target the Jew. Indeed, it is impossible for any Christian to suggest that Jesus would not have gone to the concentration camps to relieve the suffering there. But deeper, even had he determined not to go, wished not to go, he would have been sent, for he too was a Jew. But what's the sermon in this discussion? I don't want us to be Jews because others hate us. I have never been convinced by Dr. Emil Fackenheim's 614th commandment, thou shalt not grant Hitler posthumous victories. No, we need this adventure because it is the oldest and newest story in the world. We need this adventure because it offers deep roots and strong wings. We need this adventure because our broken world needs our courage, conviction, and action to move ever closer toward healing and wholeness. And our tradition makes a chutzpahdik, an outrageous claim. God, the sacred, all that is holy calls to us, invites and urges us, needs us. It is a dangerous mission. And should we accept it, embrace it, unlike a mission impossible, neither it nor we will self-destruct in 15 seconds or in an eternity of days. For we are and we shall be, no matter the circumstance, a force for good, a light to the world, a kingdom of priests, a holy nation. After the Six-Day War, the essayist Milton Himmelfarb wrote, "The number of Jews in the world is smaller than a statistical error in the Chinese census. Yet we remain bigger than our numbers. Big things seem to happen around us and to us. And I would add, big things happen because of us. So I am proud to be part of our story, to contribute to its continuity, not because there are those who view us as a threat, not because the world won't let us escape, not because the world targets us. Rather, this is a wondrous calling, a mission that gives meaning and purpose to every day, be it a mundane moment of routine or an exceptional moment of challenge or achievement. Or as I love to suggest, our task, for as long as breath resides in us, is to embody the conviction that there is indeed holiness all around us, a sacred dimension in us, in all people, all of us. Now let's get to work. And may the year 5783 be filled with that good and noble and blessed action. For then, no matter the world's indifference or action, you and I will fulfill Abraham's mission, v'hei bracha, to be a blessing, a blessing. Amen. Thank you. But I'm old enough to remember a day when you simply said, "I'm from Brooklyn," and they would applaud. Page 286, we rise for Aleinu. Page 286.
עלינו לשבח אדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל. ואנחנו קוראים ומשחרים ומודים לפניי מלא המודים הכל ששאלו. ונאמר והיה אדוני למעלה על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יראה אדוני אחד ושמו
Please be seated. On page 291, if you want to add to your High Holy Day experience, I would encourage you to look online for this song sung by Danny Freelander and Jeff Klepper. Their translation is the reading here. It's an extraordinary poem by Hannah Senish. You might want to look up that name as well. But the musical capacity in those words lifts the heart and breaks the heart at the same time. For the moment, we'll use it as a meditation before Kaddish. But please, Danny Freelander and Jeff Klepper, look it up and listen to it. It is beyond moving. But you can't look that up. The adult choir has sung it, was what was said. There are stars up above so far away. We only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. So it is with the people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the stars that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember. And we remember Dorothy Abrams Aroner, Stella Brenner, Carolyn Byron, Louis Kahn, Raymond J. Chait, Betty Cohn, George D. Danford, Patricia Estes, Saul R. Fellers, Bert M. Franklin, Joseph Goodman, Lucille Carton, Miriam Kleinberg, Evelyn Marcus, Teosilo Macadar, Mordecai Ben Amar, Nancy Martin, Kate Mingus, Irving Moskowitz, Martha Panzani, Emil J. Pollack, Cheryl Rosenbaum, Hartley M. Sangerman, Diane Schatz, Captain Jerome Solomon, Shirley Tellisman Kresh, Patricia Wanar, James Gillis Whitney, Fred Wadaka, Robert Yanes. And we remember those laid to rest in recent days: Jim Post, Sheila Getzenberg, June S. Fields. We name them aloud, we name others in our hearts as we rise for those who observe the custom for the Kaddish prayer. Yit Gadal v'yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah
Amen.
v'alma divra chirute v'amlich malchute v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah Mevarach le'olam umei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yitalal Shmei dekucha prichu leila uleila mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'miran v'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chaim Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol Yoshvei Tevel v'imru Amen.
Amen.
May the one who makes peace in the highest heavens bring peace on us, all Israel, all humankind, and let us say together, Amen.
Amen.
Please be seated. So I do call your attention to this beautiful announcement folder. It has a whole variety of opportunities for engagement and connection, and the full schedule for services. I am deeply grateful for the opportunity to be with you these high holy days, and look forward to seeing you on Kol Nidre and Yom Kippur Day. By the way, during Kol Nidre afternoon, our study session will focus on the challenge of anti-Semitism, for we scratch the surface this morning. We need Danny, I think we need Danny and his shofar.
Tomorrow, you do not need tickets to join us at the Baha'i Temple.
Oh, very good. Yeah. At 10 o'clock at the Baha'i Temple by the visitors' entrance with Temple Jeremiah. And it's informal dress, but I suspect you will need to. I'm not going to be wearing a dress, but I would suggest you dress with layers. How about that?
I think that's perfect.
So, Ein Keloheinu is our closing song, and 299. And in 5 minutes after our service concludes, those of you who wish to do tashlich, please meet the cantor at the back of the parking lot. The back of the parking lot, 5 minutes after, 7 minutes after.
7 is good. Join with me singing. Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonai. Moshiach. Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonai, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshiach. Tikia Gedola. Shana Tova Umetuka.
Thank you, Danny.